Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Unbiased F1 podcast. My name's Adam. I'm joined by Johnny, who is down here, and George, who is down here. Your usual two hosts for this show. Johnny, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Happy to be back. Ready for this show. It's gonna be a good one.
And George, how are you?
Smashing, mate. It's a pleasure to be here. And you're probably wondering if you're watching this, who is this mysterious man that is above me over here somewhere? This is Adam, who is coming to join us today. He's going to be helping out with the production. We thought we'd revamp the show for the 2021 season, take it up a level. Obviously, we're all doing this remotely because of the coronavirus pandemic, if you're watching this in 10 years' time. But we're going to be going through our predictions of the 2021 F1 season. And we're not going to do the traditional who's going to win, who's going to come second. There's quite a few funny questions in there. We've also got some bingo cards at the very end. So make sure if you're at home and you've got a notepad or your phone, jot down your answers whilst we're going through it and see if you can get similar answers to us. Maybe you've got different answers. But let us know what you got by sending us a DM or tweeting us. Tweet us at UBF1 Podcast or DM us, follow us on Instagram, which is at Unbiased F1 Podcast.
Yeah, and throughout the season, we will be looking back and checking up on our predictions every now and again. And at the end of the season, we will do probably a review show where we go over what we predicted and how close we actually were to getting things right. But yeah, without further ado, I suppose we better get on with the show. Okay, and as George mentioned, we got a few different questions. We tried to spice it up a little bit, but we are going to be starting with a fairly standard, fairly normal, fairly boring question. So our first question we're going to be looking at is who's going to win the Drivers' Championship? And wasn't really close, was it? George, you went for Hamilton, and Johnny, you went for Hamilton, and I went for Hamilton.
I think we just get this out of the way. This is the first one. Just get that one out of the way because it's going to take his 8th title. I think we're all on a very similar opinion. It's going to happen. It's just realistic.
Yeah, it seems almost dead certain. Johnny, was there any doubt ever for you?
I mean, definitely not for me. I think from the past couple of years we're doing this, there's no doubt when it comes to Lewis, but definitely this year. I mean, it's even if it's his last, it's just getting that 8th, getting the record. It's gonna happen. I don't see anyone else taking it this year.
Yeah, okay. So obviously we've all predicted Lewis to go on and win it. But I am just kind of wondering how long you guys think Lewis can actually keep it up, because obviously he's been dominant for so long. He's been he's been the best driver maybe of all time. That debate maybe is still out there. How long do you guys reckon he can keep it going for?
Ronnie, how long do you think?
I mean, I said there. I think this could either be the 1 year just to get the record 8. He could just think that he's accomplished everything. He's literally got every record in it, or not every record, but all the big one, most race wins, most pole positions, the other most titles. Then doesn't have anything else to prove. But at the same time, he is a competitor. He's one of the best drivers of all time. In my opinion, the best driver of all time. He's just he loves winning, and he doesn't look like he has any he's got any. What's the point I'm trying to think here? God, I always do this, man. I always start talking and I forget what I'm saying. He doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
Keep
he
your
just
teeth
looks like
in,
he
mate.
keep on going.
We could say this is early in the morning, but it's not. It's like midday, so but it's quite early for you. But
Yeah, for
with
me, this is
Hamilton,
still early.
I think, like you said, I think he's accomplished everything that he wants to. I can see him doing this one season, calling it a day. I'd love to see him go for another 3 or 4 years, but we all know that he's got a lot of passions outside of the sport. And I don't think he's got to prove anything to anyone. If he goes to another sport, if he goes to IndyCar, which I don't think is going to happen, what if he goes to IndyCar and gets beat by Takuma Sato or someone in IndyCar that we've never heard of? Will that then damage his reputation? If he's at the very top and wins the 8th title, and then leaves, then nobody can say that he wasn't the best. He can leave and say, do you know what, I statistically was the greatest of all time, and I think that's what he'll do.
Yeah, I mean, talking about things with people with nothing to prove, we are going to move on to our next question. And our next question is going to be, again, fairly boring, fairly standard. Who's winning the constructors? I mean, again, same thing. George went Mercedes, Johnny went Mercedes, I went Mercedes. So yeah, similar question, similar answer. You guys got any particular thoughts? Again, any other challenges that might have crossed your mind?
I mean, hoping that it's going to be a better year than last year. Last year seemed very straightforward, especially when say Mercedes, because Lewis is going to be winning most of the races this year. Yeah, and Bottas is, I'm not the hugest fan of Bottas, but he does get the podium still. That's down to the fact that Mercedes got the best car. But I think there could be still got the challenge from Red Bull with two great drivers now, Max and Perez, two great drivers there. Yeah, you got the Aston Martin. It should be a good team as well. Hopefully they've pumped in some money, got a really good car, and now you've got. Hopefully, I'm just hoping the Ferrari can come back. That last season was a one-off. I mean, let's hope it was a one-off. They can come back to where they were, top form, flying again, and then we have a 4-team push for the constructors this year.
I mean, George, do you think 14 push for the constructors? Do you agree with Johnny's words?
I'd love it. I think we would all love that, but realistically, until we see the regulation change in 2022, because they pushed it back a year because of the pandemic, I don't think we're going to see that much difference. It'll just be Mercedes having that big gap at the start, and it will just get smaller and smaller and smaller when they start developing next year's car. I think, as Johnny said, we need Ferrari back at the top, because without Ferrari at the top, F1 will really struggle.
Okay, so you kind of two opposite ends. Sort of a similar follow-up question to the one I had for the last prediction. How long do you think this Mercedes dominance will actually last?
I mean, to the rule change, I think, yeah, till next year, anything can happen. We don't know what it's going to be like. It's going to be a completely whole new era for Formula One. Hopefully, it's going to be some new cars. I know I was in the standing always for it. That I think Renault are going to be one of those teams that have been developing for it. Not sure if that could be the case anymore, but I think whenever a rule change comes along, a new team either pops up or something happens and it just changes the status quo, and it can just swap up the whole grid. It makes it a lot more exciting. So yeah, going to be good to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well with the whole pandemic situation we saw at the start of last year, everyone shifted their focus. A lot of teams shifted their focus to developing sort of breathing systems, ventilators, that kind of thing. So it made sense to push back the regulations to next year, and that probably will give the teams an extra bit of help, because with the whole situation, they wouldn't have been able to develop as much as they would have liked. Having said that, Mercedes will still have an advantage this year, and like Johnny said, next year anything can happen. I would like to think that Aston Martin would be right at the very front, along with the usual likes. But as we saw in 2009, Ferrari weren't really anywhere in 2009 when the regulations changed then. Also in 2014, when the hybrids came in, Ferrari dropped back quite a lot. So we're hoping that they can come back and see what other teams can do as well.
Yeah, so all kind of penning around the regulation changes. So yeah, I would tend to agree there. So we are going to move on to our next prediction, and this one is slightly different. We haven't all picked the same thing for change. We have all gone for a different answer. I mean, it was kind of eventually we couldn't all agree on everything, and we're going to be predicting the first 3 race winners. So we've done it in order. So if a driver wins multiple races in the first 3, obviously the next driver comes in and is the 3rd race winner. And we've kind of got the same usual candidates, apart from I've thrown a wild card in there. So George, you have gone for Bottas, Hamilton, and Verstappen. Why?
Yeah. Well, as we know, Bottas has always been very good. He comes up the blocks very quickly in the start of the season, and I expect him to maintain that as soon as the season does progress. It's in Bahrain. He had a decent race in Bahrain last year. Obviously in Sakir he did okay as well, but with the whole tyre situation and George Russell appearing out of nowhere, that kind of hampered his progress. So I think he'll start well, and then obviously the next couple of races they've got to be Hamilton's. And I'm looking at the first few races. What tracks can Verstappen win at? There's a handful, and Verstappen. It just really depends on what the car can do. If the car's up to it, Verstappen's going to be right there at all of these races.
Okay, and Johnny, you have gone for the same three, but in a different order. So you have gone Bottas, Verstappen, Hamilton. It's interesting you've both picked Bottas to win the first race.
I mean, yeah, same reason as what George was saying. Bottas starts well. He goes out. Remember Bottas 2.0 Australia 2019, just suddenly coming out. He's like, whoa, who is this guy? He's got a beard and suddenly he's quick. Like, is he an actual challenger? It's what he does. He starts off hot and he makes you think. He makes you think, okay, maybe he's going to really push for it. Then he drops. He drops off eventually because Hamilton's just too good. But I put for the second race. I put Verstappen winning it. I think the second race is Imola, right? They're going back to Italy. It needs to be confirmed. I think still. I think it should be there.
I think it is Imola. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is one from. It was a bit unpredictable. So I think anyone could win it. So I think Max will come along. The third race, the third one's definitely is a to be confirmed. Definitely. So mine's basing off that it's the third race is just gonna be Spain, which is definitely Hamilton. Hamilton's always been very good at Spain. It's a pretty straightforward track. It's not. I don't think it's any F1 fan's favourite because you end up going there for the 2 weeks of testing, and then we're back there not soon after. It's not a fantastic track. It's pretty straightforward, but Hamilton's been good there in the past years, so I can see him winning it.
Okay, and as for my predictions don't matter quite as much because I'm not the analyst. I'm just the host. So I've gone for a little bit of a wild card. I haven't put Bottas in there. Don't know why. Don't quite rate Bottas maybe as much as you guys do. I've thrown in a random Leclerc win because I really want Ferrari to be good this season, and that's pretty much as far as it goes. And yeah, it's just kind of it's more out of wanting Ferrari to be good. I mean, we've picked 4 drivers between the 3 of us. How many different drivers do you reckon are actually going to win races? Because last season you saw some shock wins here and there, and you saw some random wins. Do you reckon we're going to go back to the standard 3 or 4 drivers winning every race, or do you reckon we might see a bit more diversity in the winners and the podiums?
I think that. Yeah, I think we'll see some new drivers picking up their first. First wins. Perez, he ended up winning last year. I can't remember now. Did he? Did he pick up a win last year?
He picked up a second. Am I being wrong here? I think he was second
really early on.
I think he picked up a second right at the end.
Yeah. Oh, either way, he's in a good car now. Should be pushing. It'd be great to see him on the top step. Sainz as well. Now moved to Ferrari. If they're good, it'd be great to see him getting a first place. Even like if we're talking about surprises, if they even get 1 or 2 races like last year, see the McLarens could be quick. I'd love to see Danny Rick back on the top step, or even kind of everyone's favourite Milky Boy Lando picking up a win. That would be incredible. Yeah, I think we could see some different race winners this year. I think we'll get the standard 3 Hamilton picking up the most, Bottas getting a couple, Max winning Austria just because that is Red Bull's home. But I'm hoping we can see some new ones.
I agree. I just haven't really got anything to add, to be honest. Hopefully we see more winners, but I doubt it. Being realistic and boring, I doubt it. But I would love to see nothing more than a Ricciardo win, Perez second, and then Fernando Alonso on third. That's the podium that I would like.
I mean, yeah, everyone on the side of caution there. Yeah, everyone on the side of caution. Okay, so in terms of other, not drivers now, but now teams that could win a bit more than they have done maybe previously, we're going to move on to our next question. Our next question is going to be, who comes best of the rest? So by this we mean, who's going to come third in the Constructors' Championship? Obviously, there's a bit of a toss-up at the moment. We've picked 4 teams that we're kind of picking between. We think it could either be Ferrari, McLaren, Aston Martin, or AlphaTauri. And that's what we've based our predictions on, one of them 4 teams. And again, another one where we haven't all picked the same thing. So happy days. So, George, you have picked Aston Martin to come third.
Obviously, with Stroll's money, Vettel coming in, they're just going to be a powerful team. They might be a little bit overrated in the start of the season, but as the season progresses, I think they'll pick up more and more with that steady investment. Obviously, they're going to have the new freshness of being called Aston Martin. Whether that gains any time on the track remains to be seen.
I'm not sure it does.
Yeah, probably not.
Sticking a new name and logo don't count.
I'm thinking now that we should have thrown Alpine in the mix as well, because I think they probably will be right up there with Ocon and Alonso. That is a superb driver lineup. Ocon gets a lot of hate for no reason, in my opinion, so they'll be up there as well.
I mean, we did all discuss what teams to include in this, so
I know it just flipped my mind because they changed their name, and
yeah,
we've got another question about that at the end somewhere.
I think it's on the bingo cards later on.
Bingo cards, is it? Yeah.
So Johnny, you have gone for McLaren, and I'll throw my prediction up there as well. I have also gone for McLaren. Johnny, what's your thinking behind it?
Thinking is, I love Daniel Ricciardo. I love Lando Norris. I want to see them succeed. Third, we put third just purely based off the fact that Ferrari were not up there last year, so it was just the 2 constructors in Mercedes and Red Bull. So third place this year, it could be real interesting. I mean, you got good points about Aston Martin there, George. Like they could, with that money and that Vettel as well being there, could elevate Lance as well. But I just see Daniel Ricciardo doing the same for Lando with McLaren. They're going to have like a great season, I think. Their car hopefully is going to be really nice drive. It's going to be really quick, and I can see them picking up some good points that gets them up there, and hopefully can finish third.
I mean, yeah, my thinking was almost exactly the same for picking McLaren. I like Daniel Ricciardo, and I suppose it's kind of, this season's going to be a bit of a tale of which driver can improve which team the best. Will Vettel have a bigger impact at Aston Martin, or will Ricciardo have a bigger impact at McLaren? What are you guys thinking? The sort of maybe Ricciardo versus Vettel storyline that we might see play out over the season.
Oh yeah, I mean, 2 former teammates. I think Ricciardo's always been, that driver that came in as a second. When he was at Red Bull, he was sort of like him and Max were equals, but you could definitely see that Red Bull were favouring Max more. So I'm looking to see that dynamic a little bit more, see if he can be even up there competing with the Red Bulls, to see if there is something there with Max and him. But yeah, he could still be, if they're Aston Martin and McLaren are very equal, we'll be seeing a lot of battles between Vettel and Ricciardo, and then the same with Lance and Lando probably. So they could end up being top rivals, McLaren versus Aston Martin battle. I think that could really lead to some good racing over the season.
Yeah, and obviously we know what happened when Vettel was teammates with Ricciardo in 2014. Ricciardo, in his first year with Red Bull, absolutely dominated him. So I don't know whether they'll be close on the track, remains to be seen. But if Vettel can find his form, then anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a close one. It'll definitely be an interesting storyline to keep our eyes on throughout the season. We are going to take a little bit of a change of pace because we're not going to be talking about teams, and well, we are going to be talking about teams and drivers, but we're not going to be talking about on-track performance. We're now going to be talking about off-track performance. So our next prediction is the Speedy Pit Stoppers prediction. Who is going to get the fastest pit stop across the season? And we've kind of just gone boring again. We've all picked Red Bull.
It's just how it goes. It's just how it works. Red Bull are the best at pit stops. It'll be between Red Bull and Williams. There really isn't much to discuss here, unfortunately, apart from us being very boring with our predictions. You could throw Williams in there. I wouldn't really put Mercedes in there. We've seen what happened over the last few years with their pit stops. So, yeah.
Red Bull mechanics are just unbelievable. Like they're done, sub 2 seconds. It's like how are they doing it that quick? Like honestly, it's like they just pull in and then I've gone pretty much. Like you blink and they're gone already. It's like how is this happening? How have you practiced that much that you can do it that quick? Like, it's incredible how they can do it sometimes. And if I think they broke. I think every year for the past 2 or 3 years they've broken the record for it. So if they can do it again this year, it's unbelievable. But like you said, Williams as well. They can sometimes pull out a speedy one. So we can see if anyone else has been practicing over the off season. See if they can get a speedy pit stop.
You kind of touched on it there, George, with your response of you maybe want to consider Mercedes. They've had some issues. It's kind of interesting to think about how much those issues might have cost the team and their drivers potentially. I mean, how do you think these teams approach pit stops? Because obviously they're such a big important part of the race that they define how well you actually do. Why do you think Red Bull and that have the edge, and why do you think other teams don't quite prioritize it as much, or seemingly don't prioritize it as much?
I think it's an interesting one. If you look at the previous years, Red Bull have always been right at the very top, as well as Williams. I'm not that convinced that everyone's saying, "Oh well, pit stops aren't important." Everybody practices pit stops a lot. It's just about finding that very last small percentage to pull away in terms of that 0.1, 0.2 of a second can make a huge difference on track. And also with the tires in the last few years, from I think it was 2017, they had the bigger, chunkier rear tires. They're increased by a couple of kilos, so it's actually more weight for the guys to lift up and shove on the cars. So it's impressive that they've actually improved the time from when the tires were even smaller.
Yeah, I mean it's a pit stop. Yeah, it can make or break your race. You can ruin a driver's race when they go and have a bad pit stop, send them all the way down. So it is always a risk when they go for a speedy pit stop. Red Bull, I think, where past they've been down on Mercedes. They just know that at some races they're not quick enough. They're going to try and make up wherever they can. So that's why they're taking off that. Oftentimes they could be like half a second quicker in their pit stops than Mercedes. So I think like Mercedes go for like they're still quick. I mean, you're still looking around like the 2.3 seconds. Still very quick pit stops, but that half a second is something that Red Bull have got on them sometimes, and it's just it makes it up back on track. And if it can be making mistakes. I mean, we haven't seen them make too many mistakes before, but other teams will go for the more conservative. Yeah, go for the mid 2 seconds, just to be sure that you get it all right. Whilst Red Bull they'll just go for it. Like obviously they've trained probably a lot more than anyone else, but they just go for it to get as quick as they can, get some more time.
Okay. I can't disagree with what you
Zoned
say.
out there, didn't you? Don't lie, you just zoned out.
I've
You're
got
like,
production.
yeah.
I've got lots of background stuff to do. Don't you worry about my job.
Yeah.
We are going to move swiftly on because we are running. We're up to about half an hour now of talking, and we're about halfway through the questions. So we're gonna move on.
Skip the boring ones is all I'm gonna say, because there's not really any boring ones though. Just pick your favorite ones.
We're gonna speed run some of these. Quick answers. So yeah, we're gonna move on to our next one, who is going to be the driver that gets the most DNFs, and I mean, I've just pressed the wrong button. Yeah, that's George's prediction. That's Johnny's prediction, and that's my prediction. What's your thinking behind that, guys?
I think it's everyone wants to see Schumacher do well, including myself, but the Haas has been quite unreliable in the last few years. There's nothing more than I would like to see Schumacher do really well and get higher up. But he's not obviously going to be challenging at the top positions. This is a learning year for him. Binotto's come out and said that he's ready for Schumacher to go to Ferrari once he feels he's at the right point. So it's going to be a learning year for him. And if there's a few DNFs, then so be it.
Yeah, for me, Ocon, I don't know. It's just sometimes the Renault or the Alpine now it has some reliability issues, especially at the start of the season. I mean, what was it, Ricardo last year or 2 years ago? Like he had like 8 retirements or something. It was crazy. Like they can have some bad issues when it comes to that, and also I mean DNS we're talking crashes as well. When you're in the midfield pack like they can be there, you can sometimes see some accidents or something. I don't know. I can't exactly remember why I just said Ocon. I think I was just trying to think of someone different as well, trying to get a different answer everywhere. I just went, let's go Ocon.
Yeah.
I do think it's like, the Alpine, sometimes a bit unreliable.
I went for Giovinazzi just because gut feeling. I felt like it. I wanted to. We are gonna
perfectly fine answer. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean exactly. We're gonna go on a similar route for the next question. We are gonna continue speedrunning these, and we have the bumper car champion. So this, I think we justified it as which one of these drivers are going to have the most collisions, and we picked Mazepin, Stroll, Perez, Giovinazzi, and just as a bit of a joke, Jack Aitken, if he gets another run out in the Williams or whatever, who's going to have the most crashes. So, George, you have gone with Mazepin, and Johnny, you've also gone with Mazepin, and I've gone for Stroll. My reasoning behind it is just that Stroll seems to get in a lot of crashes, and why not?
I don't think we need to speak too much about Mazepin. We've seen what happens in F2 last year. One of the few, I only watched a few F2 races last year, but the ones that I did watch were amazing. And the one at Sakir, if you haven't seen the highlights of it, watch it, and then you'll understand why myself and Johnny have chosen that. But I don't think we need to speak too much about him.
I mean, the only other comment is that we hate Mazepin. That's about it. Mazepin just. I don't want to see him getting any points, or I don't want to see him doing anything. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him on the grid at all. But he is. So I just hope that every race he doesn't even start. Stalls the car, gets crashed into. I don't know. Something happens and he doesn't finish.
I think what will happen actually is that. Sorry, I think what will happen is that people just won't engage with him that much. They won't be doing many interviews with him. There won't be many like Sky pieces on him or Ziggo Sport or anything like that. I don't think many people will pay much attention to him. Obviously, with what's happened, remains to be seen.
They'll get a lot of hate if they do. So probably won't see him too much. Unless God forbid he starts doing well. I don't see. Like you're saying that, I don't even think about that. They won't be asking for any interviews from him.
Yeah, I mean, for legal purposes, I will say Johnny is joking about hating Mazepin.
No, I'm not joking.
Okay.
Strictly legal purposes.
All blame goes to Johnny.
I'll get my lawyer on it.
Staying on the crashes and incidents and things like that, staying on that front, our next prediction is safety car first. How many safety cars and virtual safety cars will there be across the season? And we've gone for quite a wide range of answers here. George, you think there's only going to be 12. Johnny, you think there's going to be 38, and I've gone higher with Johnny. I've gone for 42. George, why so low?
Well, this is just for the races, isn't it? So
yeah, but it's safety cars and virtual safety cars, and there can be multiple per race.
There could be. There might not be. I just have a feeling that most people on this grid have had many years of experience. They know how to drive. They're all very good drivers, whether you like them or not. They all know how to drive very fast, and most of them can do it safely and not crash. So I just don't think there'll be that many.
We do have a couple of new guys in there as well. Some younger guys. Plus, there's the question of wet races where it's difficult. Even the top drivers, it's difficult to control the car. There's some things just happen. Sometimes something can happen. You end up having to start behind a safety car. Out someone's control. A car pulls off because of the problems with it. and it's maybe like a street race like Baku or Monaco, that's going to have to pull out a safety car. Yeah, it's I think I bit high maybe mine 38 now that I'm thinking about it with your reason as well, but I'm gonna stick with it. I think there could be quite a few. So yeah, I'm happy with my answer.
Yeah, you mentioned there in your response some there are some crazy races. You got Baku and you got Monaco and that. Why do you think those? Obviously, because they're tight, narrow circuits, but with the experience of the drivers, why do you think there are so many crashes on circuits like Baku, like Monaco, like I mean, even Spa has quite a few incidents, and that's fairly wide open, and it's why do you think certain tracks lend themselves to more incidents?
Drivers are pushing themselves all the time. They're competitors. They're guys at the top of their game. They want to push. They want to try and get as good a result as they can, not just for them but for the team. And sometimes, like Baku's, it can be a quick track, especially that long straight that you've got. That it's a good track. They like racing around it, but it's also a street circuit. It's narrow. Same with Monaco. That takes a lot of skill. Monaco is one of my favourites, but it's just one of the tracks where it really brings out the skill in the drivers. You can see who's a better drivers to the ones who are maybe not as fit for the sport. But yeah, it's sometimes you get crashes from even the top guys just because they're really pushing it. It's what happens, and retirements happen when they're pushing it, and the car just goes as well. So yeah, it's that's just what it is. They're competitive. That's why it happens sometimes.
I agree with Johnny. You look at Baku, you've got that kilometre long straight, and then you've got three 90-degree left-hand corners. There's going to be crashes when you're doing, you're absolutely maxing out the potential of the car at, 220, 230 miles an hour. When you're braking up the 100-meter board to come down and turn 90 degrees. There's going to be, if you're sat behind someone in the slipstream, you're going to be a little bit too high on the speeds. And when you're an F1, you got to push. Everyone pushes, like Johnny said, 100%. They've got to find that extra fine detail to try and push ahead.
Right. Okay. Yeah, completely agree again. Um,
Inspired reply there.
I'm the host. You're the analyst. Okay.
Yeah. We're working it out. Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to move swiftly on. A little bit of a change of pace from incidents and crashes now, to a bit more back to point standings, and we are, for the purposes of this show, assuming Williams are just not going to get any points, and I don't think that's an unfair assumption to make. But our next prediction is going to be which driver is going to join the Williams drivers on 0 points. So, George, you've gone with Mazepin. Johnny, you've gone for Mazepin, and I've gone for his teammate. And yeah,
we don't hate Haas. We just want to say that I quite like Haas, to be honest. It's just that I don't have confidence that they have so much reliability. I really hope they prove me wrong, but I just have a gut feeling. I've stuck with it. Probably the same with Johnny.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you said there. Don't hate Haas. Don't like their decision to go Mazepin or keep Mazepin, but don't hate them for it. Still pick Mick Schumacher there, which is a great pick, I think. But yeah, Mazepin, like we said, same sort of reason as to why I think he's going to have the most collisions. Yeah, I think from what we've seen, he could be a pretty reckless. He tries to go for things that, you can't do that, sort of especially defensive moves. But yeah, in terms of just Haas as a team, yeah, they have some reliability problems, and yeah, I think they'll come up unless they've sorted that out and they end up being like they were when they first started out, where they're actually like a good point scoring team. They're probably going to end up at the back of the grid most races, along with the Williams and the the Alfa Romeo, aren't they? So yeah, I don't see them getting too much either.
Yeah, I mean, my response is pretty much exactly the same. It's Haas. I don't really trust Haas. Out of the two drivers, I think they're fairly evenly skilled, but I just think, I don't know. I just kind of had. I think Mazepin at some point might just nick a point. Just at some point during the season, he might just get lucky one race and nick a point somehow. and that's just why I went for his teammate. And that's literally my only reasoning, my only real reasoning behind it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's not much more to say about that. I was just thinking if I could keep talking, but yeah,
There's no more filling that we can do.
yeah, it's Haas. It's like you can't trust them. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. My actual other thing is that I do think maybe Williams could steal a couple points. I think you get some of those races where like 11 or 12 cars finish. You get
Yeah.
Latifi getting a point maybe.
Russell getting a point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
You
much
meant
rather
you meant
Russell
you
be.
said Russell
No one
or
gets No, I meant Latifi from what it's been like. For what it was been like.
Latifi.
He doesn't end up getting the points.
Latifi would be an unexpected point, and our next prediction is something else unexpected. It's a unexpected racer on the track. So this is we're predicting how many track invasions from animals we're gonna get throughout the season. I think this is always a bit of a funny thing to watch when a dog runs on the circuit or whatever. And yeah, it's just I don't know. It seems to happen every season. George, you seem to think it's going to happen twice. Johnny's gone for 3, and I've gone for 4. I mean, yeah. What's like your most memorable track invasion you've ever seen? Because there were two last season, and they were quite funny. They were.
There was a lot of animal track invasions last year, but my most memorable, if we're counting track invasions without animals, my most memorable one I remember seeing at Silverstone either in the early 2000s or late 90s, when a guy dressed as a Joker ran on the circuit on the I want to say Hanger Straight. Is it Hanger Straight?
Yeah,
I think it's the Hanger Straight. Yeah, he
Yeah.
ran on the back straight and was running in the middle of the circuit with like this flag, was just pegging it down the straight, and the cars were coming straight at him and having to veer out the way. He was running towards the cars. That was like the most crazy thing I've ever seen. And there was also another guy who was randomly walking along the circuit in Singapore, I think a couple of years ago. I don't know how that happened, but there was that just random bloke that was walking across the circuit.
Yeah, no, I had the exact same answer for Silverstone there. Yeah, I was thinking, trying to think of what. Yeah, the Hanger Straight, just running along there, and all the cars were like, oh, snap, there's a guy on the circuit. But yeah, I completely forgot about the guy in Singapore as well. Just like going for a stroll. It's like he's like, going back to my seat, but I kind of get out the wrong bit. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going to carry on though.
I don't remember seeing the Silverstone one. I might have to Google that after we're done recording this show, because that sounds like an interesting turn
Pretty
of
scary,
events.
pretty dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the person on the track, but it's funny to watch from the outside, I suppose. We are going to continue speedrunning our questions. We have 2 more questions. We are almost done. And the next one we're going to focus on is obviously we've got new regulations coming in, and we've got a new spending cap coming in. And it's almost certain that one team at some point during the season is going to be rumoured to have broken the spending cap. And, we're trying to predict who. And you have both gone for Aston Martin. And I have gone for Red Bull. So what's your thinking behind Aston Martin?
I think obviously with their amount of money they have available to them now, they're going to be pushing the limits, and they will probably, but all of the teams will be having very, very clever accountants to try and make sure that they look like they haven't broken the rules anyway.
As always.
As always in every company, but with Aston Martin, it's just they're going to be pushing so hard with the rebrand because they're no longer a customer team; they're their own brand now. They can try and push Mercedes all the way, and if they can do that financially, they will.
Yeah, I mean, my reason, big money, daddy, billionaire, Stroll. He's just going to be pumping loads in there, and I think people, especially if they're going to be really quick, they were quick anyway last year, but the reason behind that was because they literally just stole the season before Mercedes, which was a question then. Everyone was like, hang on, can they do that? Now this year, I think people can be asking the question like, how are you even, like, how much quicker? Like, what is this? I think they're going to be like, surely you put some money into something that you can't, it's just not right. Kind of done that. So, I think you got a good choice there with Red Bull as well, there, Adam. But
Yeah.
I think it's Aston Martin. It's billionaire dad.
Fa-
Dad Stroll is just good ask questions there.
Thanks for saying about my prediction. I think I've got a good prediction too. Yeah, I think there's going to be some sort of controversy at some point about the Honda deal, about the fallout with their engine manufacturer, and then them being able to still use a Honda engine, and then being able to still use a Honda engine the year after. I think there's going to be some report somewhere of some sort of shady dealing going on there. I think there's no way that Honda deal is happening without something shady happening. And I do want to point out the criteria we've kind of set for this one is the rumour has to be reported by a respected news source, so a newspaper or a respected journalist like Will Buxton or someone like that. That's how we will count it being reported as a breach. And yeah, I think there's some sort of. I mean, I'm not saying there is for legal reasons, but I think there'll be some sort of shady dealing with that Honda deal, and I think that's where the rumor will stem from. We are on to our last prediction of the day, and then we'll go over our bingo cards quickly. So this prediction is based off the top 4 teams last season. Of the drivers in the top 4 teams, who will finish lowest this season in the drivers' championship? So we have Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Stroll, Perez. We're missing one, aren't we? It is Albon. And out of them 8 drivers, who's going to finish lowest in this season's championship? God, that was a lot of words to go through. George, you have picked Norris. Care to explain why?
Just he's developing. Ricardo is at his peak. Norris is at the very start of his career. Simple as that, really.
But you think he's going to be below the rest of them?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Me and Johnny have both agreed with each other. We have both gone for Stroll. So, Johnny, what's your thinking behind that?
I mean, it's kind of the same sort of lines. I just think where like I was saying from earlier, Ricardo's going to be teaching Lando. You're going to have Vettel teaching Stroll, but I just think Stroll, yeah, he's got some results. He's been on the podium a couple of times, and yeah, but did it? Oh, now I'm going to ask, did he win last year? Am I being crazy in saying that he did actually pick a win?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, you got a win. So, yeah, Stroll got.
That doesn't got a pole.
And he dropped. He got a second in that race or third?
No, he got like fourth. No, he got what he looked like 8th or 9th because he pitted.
He did get a podium at least last season.
Perez got a podium and Vettel got third.
We're really showing up our knowledge here, aren't we?
God, should have done some more research before we started. But no, yeah, I just see him like out of all the guys out of all of them, I just see him being at the back there. Not that he's going to struggle. I think he'll still do well. I have come to used to hate Stroll. I've come to respect him more because of the results he's had. It's the first time he got that podium. I thought it was a fluke. He's had a couple since. He's had pole position. I do respect him as a driver, and I just don't think he's going to be the strongest though from them out of all those guys. And I think he'll be at the back there.
Yeah, completely agree. I think he is the weaker of the 8 drivers. I think maybe the only other one that I was thinking about was Albon. But I think Albon is the better driver than Stroll. I know there's a lot of fanboys that would think otherwise, but
Albon's also not in F1.
Yeah, I think he might be.
So I think he will finish bottom of those 8. Absolutely.
Is he not taking the AlphaTauri seat? Have I just messed this up?
That's Tenoda and Gasly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
over the fact that you think he's in the sport. He's in DTM this year.
Okay, yeah, my prediction.
Get the bingo cards up, mate. Get the bingo cards up.
My prediction's still right.
Our new host doesn't know what you're talking about. Don't worry, it's cool.
I do know what I'm talking about. I just I panicked because on our sheet that I've got in front of me, and you've probably seen me looking up at it. We've got 7 drivers listed, and I was like, there should be 8. So I said Albon, and then I've just been running off the fact that he's still. There's a few kinks to work out, but we'll get through it. We're gonna move swiftly on to bingo time. We do have some bingo cards. Basically, we've created a 4x4 grid, and it's going to be whoever can create the most lines at the end of the season. And if you can obviously fill out your entire grid, that helps massively, helps your case. And it's not really a competition. We're just gonna see who gets the most. So, George, do you want to quickly talk us through your bingo card?
Yeah, I think as well. Like we'll go through each race podcast and tick off which ones apply when and where. I've gone. You can see for yourself. You can read them all. I think the biggest one for me is Perez wears a sombrero. You know what Red Bull's branding is like. They're going to get that in somewhere, probably if not before the Mexican GP. That will happen at some point. That's my main one in my bingo cards.
I will point out that what we did is we sat down and we made these bingo cards, and then we took each other's cards and scrambled them up to make sure there wasn't any intentionally easy lines to get. And one of the tactics I used when scrambling, I think I scrambled your card, wasn't it, George? I think I did your card.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And it was put the hardest ones in the middle, or put harder ones in the middle. So I think that's maybe a tactic. I mean, if you look at your card, I'd say the one that's hardest is Perez, whereas the sombrero, and maybe it's not that hard. So maybe you've just been very crafty picking your bingo card. But yeah, that's the tactic we have made. We'll move on to Johnny's card, as you can see here. So Johnny, do you want to take us through your card?
I would love to be able to, but I can hardly read it because I have it on my phone. But I can remember a couple of them. I know I have the Hamilton says blessed, and I know that will happen literally right away. Blessed to be in this position, it will be there. Question about him reaching Schumacher's 7 titles and be like, oh, I'm blessed to have reached this, to be gone so far in my career. I also know that there's Ricardo wears a costume there somewhere, which
Yeah,
I think that's
right
a guarantee too. Yeah. I think you were saying at the time, like, you think it might be a harder one. I think that's a dead on. Him and Lando at some point will do something. I reckon they'll do some sort of like joint costume as well. Maybe like one of the 2-person horses or something. Something like that. They just show up and something. I remember a couple of years ago with Red Bull did the lederhosen.
Yeah,
I think it's a guarantee.
Okay, and we'll briefly touch on my one as well. So I've got a few interesting ones. You see there on the left-hand side, I've got Leclerc stupid. So if he does something in a race, and at the end of the race, he's on team radio and he goes, his team radio goes, "You did all right there. It's fine." And he just goes, "No, I'm stupid. I'm stupid," and calls himself stupid after a race. That I think will be almost guaranteed to happen. A red flag in Baku and Monaco. Yeah, I'm going for the spectacular. Verstappen to have a perfect weekend and 3 DNFs on the first lap. Big crash. Obviously, no one wants to see anyone get hurt, but big spectacular crashes are a part of the sport, and you kind of, sometimes they're entertaining, the drama and everything. So yeah, that is my bingo card. All in all, we've got an exciting season ahead of us. What are you guys looking forward to most about the season ahead?
Just everything. Just love Formula One. Oh, I'm just looking forward to it starting again. I'm looking forward to the car launches. That's always fun. A couple already. It's just as soon as I saw something that we've got something Formula One every week till it starts again now, and that's like another 3 weeks or something. So just excited for it to start again.
I think enough of the talking, enough of the showing off. Let's get the car reveals underway. Let's get testing underway. See how much Mercedes sandbag this time, and let's see who's on top in Bahrain.
Yeah, exactly. So with the season drawing closer, we will be covering as much as we can. We'll be going through a few more episodes in the next few weeks, kind of previewing the season, a few little shorts maybe about the car reveals. And then obviously when we get into the season, we'll be doing our usual, or George and Johnny's usual, I suppose, and I'm just tagging along. We'll be doing the usual review of each race and talking about all the relevant talking points. But for now, that is the end of our prediction show. Thank you for joining us. I've been Adam. Down there has been George. Down there has
Make sure you
been
tweet
Johnny.
us, by the way. Tweet us and DM us your results on the polls and the questions. See what you got.
Yep. Down there has been Johnny.
Like, you guys enjoyed this one today. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, as am I. And hope you guys did enjoy. And we'll see you guys later.